Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be testing out brand new makeup. I have the new Alter Ego Wildwood palette and also the new Urban Decay Face Bond foundation. I've gotten so many requests just for these two products alone. I also have the new Makeup Forever Cream Face Palette, which looks so good, plus a lot more. So just quickly, if you're new here, hi, my name is Jen. I do a lot of makeup reviews here on this channel. Everything is completely unsponsored, so you can always know that you're getting my fully honest opinion on all of the products. So if that sounds good, be sure to hit the subscribe button and let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. All right guys, so I think I want to do my eyes first just in case there might be any fallout. So I want to check out the new Alter Ego Wildwood palette. I was so excited to see this launch. This is a really close dupe for the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And I do have that as well, so we're gonna do a comparison. I wanna show you just what these look like side by side. And I'm gonna be applying this to one eye and the Natasha Denona to the other, and we'll be doing a wear test too, so you'll see how they stack up against each other. But let's take a quick look at this first, just next to the Natasha Denona palette. So obviously, the shadows are arranged in a different order, so they look a little bit different, but I feel like the colors look pretty much identical. And one thing that I also wanted to mention is Alter Ego listened to all of its customers and they brought back the magnetic pans. So if you don't like the way that the shadows are arranged in the Wildwood palette, you can just switch them up and put them exactly the way they are in the Yucca palette or your own different arrangement, whatever you want to do. So I love that they gave us that option again. And as always, Alter Ego not only dupes the color, but also the formula variation. So we have shimmer shades, matte shades, and also the cream to powders. So you do have a couple of those in here as well. So quickly, I'm just gonna clip my hair back. I got these little clips from Urban Decay when they sent the foundation over. They're so cute. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly apply the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly as a base for my eyeshadow. No matter how many eyeshadow primers I try, I still go back to this one. I just think it's the best. All right, so I think I'm gonna start out with the shade Acacia in the Natasha Denona palette. And I'm taking this on the A503 brush from BK Beauty. And I'm just gonna start applying this into the crease. This is like a really pretty olivey green. It has a little bit of a brownish undertone, so it's almost kind of bordering on neutral actually. I know when the Yucca palette first came out, a lot of people were worried that these types of colors wouldn't look good on their skin tone, myself included, because I have more of that pink cool undertone, and I thought that shades like this with the yellowy greens might clash or look weird, but it actually doesn't. So I feel like the Alter Ego palette might be a good, more affordable way to try this without spending $70 on a palette, because you know, if you're taking a risk, you don't want to spend too much money. I'm gonna use the shade Moss, which I think is the corresponding shade. It looks a little bit more brown in the Alter Ego palette, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, like I was saying, if you're not sure if the color story is going to work for you, then the Alter Ego just is a cheaper way to go, just to test it out. So far, I think this is applying just as pigmented. I'm just going to continue blending this out a little bit more. And I'm going to be doing a really simple, quick and easy look because I don't have a ton of time today to film. It's Monday the 8th and we're having the eclipse today, as most of you know. And my son's school decided to do a half day because they didn't want to dismiss school at the time, like when the eclipse was going on. So they're letting them out early and I have to go and get him pretty soon. So I wanted to try to get this done before then. All right, so I feel like these colors both look really, really similar to each other. Next, I'm going to pick up the shade Flax in the Natasha Denona palette just to add a little depth to my outer corner. And I picked this up on the A502 brush from BK Beauty, which is just a smaller, fluffy blending brush. I'm just kind of focusing this right in the outer corner and then blending it back toward the center. I do sometimes have a little bit of trouble blending Natasha's formula, especially the darker shades. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're so pigmented, but I just feel like I usually have to take my time trying to blend these out. And then in the Alter Ego palette, I'm going to be using the shade Oak, which is this one right here. And in comparison, I feel like Alter Ego's shadows are pigmented, but they're not as intense. And for me, I just find that easier. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like you can always add shadow, but it's hard to take it away when you apply too much. So if I need to build this up just a little bit to get it to look the same as the other side, I would much rather do that and have a smooth blend than be over here trying to make sure it doesn't look patchy and spending a ton of time trying to blend. Yeah, I feel like this eye took about half the time to blend, and it looks pretty much exactly the same. If I look at it, like the end result is the same. Next, I'm just gonna take a little bit of the Moira glitter primer, and I'm just gonna put this right on my lid, not where I put the matte shades, but just exactly in the spots where I'm gonna put the shimmer. And I'm just patting this on with my finger. And on the Alter Ego side, I'm gonna use the shade Ray, which is this one right here. This is a beautiful duochrome. It kind of shifts from green to gold. It's so beautiful. It's my favorite shade in the palette for sure. And it does have tiny little micro glitters in it, hence the glitter glue. It's just gonna help it to stay put a lot better. And I'm gonna use the shade Plantasia, which is this one right here. And I'm just gonna start patting this on. It's such a pretty shade. I love the dimension that's in here. Even with the glitter primer, I'm still getting a bit of fallout under this eye and a tiny little bit on this eye. I feel like it's a little bit worse over here, but it's kind of the nature of these glittery shades that I'm working with. So as far as the eye look, it looks pretty much the same on both sides. It's so super close. I'm just gonna apply the Tarte Tartelette Tubing XL mascara really quick. All right, and then here is the finished eye look. Again, we have the Alter Ego over here, the Natasha Denona over here. Not really seeing a lot of difference. Hopefully it's not looking super messy. Like I said, I'm kind of rushing a little bit, but really I just wanna see how they hold up next to each other. So we'll definitely do that in the wear test. Next up, I have a new sunscreen that I wanna test out. This is from Vanicream, and it's their Facial Moisturizer SPF 30. So this is a full mineral sunscreen, and it has zinc oxide at 19.5%. It doesn't say that it's a tinted formula, so I'm a little bit nervous that it's gonna have a white cast, hopefully not. But I'm a huge fan of Vanicream in general. I think they are so amazing if you have sensitive skin. My son has a tendency to get eczema in the wintertime, and I've always used Vanicream on him since he was a baby, like the big tub that you get at Walgreens. So anyway, let's see how this goes. I'm just gonna start working this in. I mean, it definitely looks like it has a white cast, but I have to say, for a mineral sunscreen, this feels really, really thin. It's not that thick, like chalky texture that's really hard to rub in. It has a really nice light moisturizer kind of feel, so that's good. And it is actually rubbing in pretty well. That really didn't take too much effort, and it is so hydrating. It's a really nice moisturizer. I already did have moisturizer on, so this is gonna be a second layer for me, but I do think that I'm gonna need it with this new foundation I'm gonna try, and I'll explain why in just a minute. But yeah, so far I am actually liking this. I don't think on me it's giving a white cast, but if you have a deeper skin tone, I would be really curious to know if you've tried this and what it looks like. The thing about sunscreen is you have to put so much of it on. You really want to try to find one that's not too thick or too greasy, and that can be so hard to do. I mean, but so far, like I said, this feels really nice. It's a nice lightweight texture, at least for a mineral formula. All right, yeah, so no complaints with this whatsoever at the moment. Let's move on to foundation. I have the new Urban Decay Face Bond. So this claims to be a waterproof foundation up to 24-hour wear. It has 3% niacinamide, and it's supposed to have coverage that you can't feel. It's also supposed to be water, sweat, and humidity proof. It's smudge and transfer resistant, and it's supposed to be self-setting, so you don't need a powder. And they sent it to me in the shade 10 Light Neutral. So far, just doing a swatch, it does feel extremely lightweight. So I'm gonna apply it two different ways. Urban Decay sent me a sponge, this really huge one. It wasn't this big when it was in the box. It was probably like a quarter of this size. It really blew up. So I'm gonna use the sponge on one side. And also I wanted to try these new Sigma brushes. They had sent me their soft coverage collection. So these look so nice. They have a soft coverage complexion brush, a concealer one. They have an angled cheek brush, a sculpting brush, and also a precision powder brush over here. So these feel amazingly soft. I want to use the F48 soft coverage brush. It's kind of like a really dense angled foundation brush. So let's shake this up really good. It says to shake it. I feel like this color might be a little bit too yellowy for me. Hopefully it's okay. I'm just gonna put a drop right there on my cheek and just start to blend out. Ooh, this brush is so nice. So anyway, the reason that I said that I might need extra moisturizer today is because this foundation is pretty heavy on the alcohol. It's got denatured alcohol as the 4th ingredient, and I mean, it even smells like alcohol when you smell it. It's really strong. So that worries me a little because it's the main reason why I don't like the L'Oreal skin tint with the dropper. I believe denatured alcohol is also the 4th ingredient in that one. And while it looks okay when I initially apply it, I end up looking so dry later in the day. So I'm hoping that this one won't do that, but I don't know. I mean, I'm absolutely loving the way this is going on. It is the thinnest, most flawless formula. I mean, I'm getting coverage, but it doesn't look like I'm wearing foundation at all. And I'm going to show you guys really close up in a few minutes once I'm done applying, but I mean, it looks so good. And it's also kind of mattifying at the same time. When I put it on, I don't know if you can tell, but like I look kind of greasy over on this side of my face because of the sunscreen. And then over here, like you can see the line in my forehead where it kind of looks shiny and then all of a sudden it doesn't. So I feel like you really don't need powder with this. I'm just gonna do this side with the sponge over here. I'm curious to see if that affects the coverage or if the sponge is going to add a little bit of moisture. Maybe this side will just wear better throughout the day. So we'll have to see. But yeah, this does have a super strong alcohol scent. It smells like a bottle of rubbing alcohol, basically. Especially when I put it near my nose, I can really smell it. And even though the color looked a little bit too deep for me and a little bit yellow, I think once it goes in, it actually doesn't look bad. And I would say it's giving probably like a solid medium coverage. They did give me a little pamphlet with it, and it says inside, for full coverage, use your fingers. For medium coverage, use a foundation brush. And for light coverage, to use this sponge. To be honest, looking in the mirror, I don't feel like I'm getting different levels of coverage between the brush and the sponge. It looks pretty much the same, but let me just zoom you guys in and you can take a closer look. All right, so I definitely see why they call this face bond, because this foundation just seems to like grip to your skin and become one with your skin. It doesn't feel like that type of formula that's like sitting on top like a heavy layer. It's just so thin and really skin-like. And I have to say the sunscreen underneath is also holding up really well. I'm not having any pilling issues. This is sitting really nicely on top of that as well. And I feel like my skin just looks really good right now. So we'll have to see how it looks later, but I'm really nervous about the alcohol content in here. I feel like it's gonna look dry, but we'll see. Moving on, let's take a look at the new Makeup Forever HD Skin Essentials palette. So you guys might remember I had the original one that had all of the complexion products in it. So it had concealer, foundation, bronzers, and contour. But the problem with that one is that it basically just came in one color, and I couldn't use half the palette because I could only use the light shades on one side. They've since changed things where now they have a light version and a deeper version. So I ended up getting the lighter version, and they also included blushes this time. So I love this. I think this is just what the original one should have been to start out with, because even though I loved the texture of the creams and I thought they were awesome, I always felt like I would never even touch one half of the palette, and it just seemed like such a waste to me. So basically this is supposed to be a universal palette. You can use these colors for pretty much anything. You can mix these colors together to create a foundation. Just swirl your brush in there and apply it all over. You can use these as concealers, bronzer, contour. You have some blush and highlighter options as well. So I think it's such a versatile palette. So I think I'm going to start with a little bit of concealer. I don't feel like I need that much. I think the Urban Decay foundation covered most of it, but I want to take just a little bit. I feel like this shade is kind of too light and this shade's maybe a little too dark. So I want to do kind of a mix of both of these colors, and I'm picking them up with the Sigma Soft Angled Concealer Brush. And I'm just going to tap this right in the outer corner of my eye just to add a little bit of brightness. These creams, oh my goodness, so seamless. And if these creams are the same formula as the last one, they're so seamless. They just melt right into your skin. Yeah, so this, I mean, it pretty much looks invisible. Such a nice, weightless, easy formula to work with. So I'm just gonna grab a little more and put it over here. It's definitely adding that little bit of brightness. And this concealer brush is really nice too. It reminds me a lot of the Rare Beauty one. It's kind of the same shape. Next up, I want to try the Soft Sculpt brush from Sigma, and I'm gonna put it into this shade right here, which looks like a beautiful cool toned color for bronzing or contour. So I'm just gonna run the brush back and forth and just start working it right under my cheekbone. And this is not a dense brush either, so it's giving a super light wash of color. If you want a little bit more intensity, then I would probably use a more firm brush like the foundation one that I used earlier. Just something a little more dense, but I'm really just looking for a light warming up of my face, nothing too dramatic. I honestly think this color is perfect. It's just that really nice, cooler undertone. And if you want to warm it up a little bit, you could always bring some of this warmer brown into it as well. But these creams just melt into your skin. Such an effortless blend. I love it. Next up, I'm going to use the Sigma Soft Angled Cheek Brush. This is the F43, and I want to use one of these blushes. Which one do I want? I might try this rosy shade right here that's in the middle, and we'll see how this looks. That is so pretty. It's just, again, really soft and subtle. I bet if I pick it up with my finger, I could probably get more color. Let's see. Yeah, so you could always do that too. You could kind of pick it up. Sometimes it's hard to get the full brush into these pans because they're not huge. So this is a little bit of an easier way to do it, at least for me. And these have a really silky, very emollient texture going on, but I find that on my dry skin, they do dry down. Like this side already is almost dry to a powder, but there's such a thin, weightless formula that I feel like you can just keep building up the color if you want. And it doesn't seem to be moving my foundation, and it doesn't look patchy. It's really, really smooth. So nice. I might try just a little bit of highlighter. There's like this kind of peachy pink highlighter up here. I'm curious to see what this looks like. I'm just gonna tap a little bit on with my finger. Ooh, that is so pretty. It's a super natural looking highlighter. There's no glitter particles. It just gives you that more dewy, wet look. That is gorgeous. You can definitely see the beautiful glow coming off of this, but at the same time, like I said, it doesn't look like a glitter bomb on your cheeks. So I just want to, again, zoom you guys in. So here's what it looks like up close. You can see just how smooth the blush looks. And the highlighter is that gorgeous glow without all of the glitter and shimmer. So I love it. Next up for lips, I got one of the new Tatcha Kitsu lip tints. So these are broad spectrum SPF 25 lip sunscreen, and they claim to be a creamy lip tint with buildable color that protects against UVA, UVB rays with SPF 25 while locking in moisture for soft and comfortable lips. And I got mine in the shade Plum Blossom. So I just have to say the packaging on this is so heavy. It feels super luxurious, really, really nice. And I'm hoping that this color goes with the color that I use for my cheeks. I think it will. Well, let's see. This feels really hydrating. I love the pigmentation, and there doesn't seem to be a scent to it at all, which is great. It's very silky, really weightless. There's no like sticky feel to it. I really like this color. I might, if I like it, I'll probably go back and get some of the other shades. I think there were 3 altogether, but I just love how more brands are putting SPF in their lip balms because the lips are just like the one area of your face that always gets neglected. So I think that's awesome. And I have been also talking about the K-Skin lip balms too. These are at Sephora and they're $15, so they're a little bit less expensive than the Tatcha one. In case you're interested in like a really good tinted SPF balm, they're amazing. So anyway, guys, here's the finished look. I'm gonna go about the rest of my day. I'll probably do a check-in when I go to pick up my son, which is in like 2 hours from now. So we'll be able to see what it looks like at that point. And then I'm going to my in-laws for lunch. We'll probably be there for the afternoon and for the eclipse and all that. Then I'll be back home in the evening. I'll do my final check-in maybe like after dinner sometime, and we'll see how everything's holding up then. So I will see you guys later. Hey guys, I'm back for my final check-in. So let's see how everything's holding up. Actually, before we do that, let me show you what things looked like around the 2-hour mark when I went to go get my son from school. So I thought the eyeshadow looked great. It still looked pretty much exactly the same on both eyes. I could still see my blush and also the highlighter. There was even still a little bit of color from the lip balm, which I was happy about. I hadn't eaten in between the video and this time, so once I got home and had lunch, it went away pretty quickly. As far as the foundation, I think at that point it still did look really good. I was impressed because I was expecting it to look super dry, and it really looked pretty decent, very skin-like. I'm really excited to see what everything looks like now. I haven't really been checking myself in the mirror. Like I said, I was kind of out all day. We just got back. So I'm just gonna take a quick look in the mirror. I mean, so far, I think both of my eyes still look almost exactly the same. This is the Alter Ego side. This is Natasha Denona. I feel like they look pretty much the same as they did when I applied them, but I am seeing some glitter fallout coming down on my face even though I used glitter glue. Unfortunately, they both kind of went everywhere. I don't think one is really better than the other as far as that goes. The blush, unfortunately, is almost completely gone. The blush and the highlighter and the bronzer. And you know, they looked really emollient when I first put them on. They almost have the consistency of something like a tinted lip balm, like the Tatcha one. So they had a little bit of greasiness to them, and I feel like they just sort of slid off my face. At the 2-hour mark, they were still there, but at this point, I'm not really seeing much color at all. So that's a little bit disappointing. I do feel like this palette isn't super long lasting. I suppose I could have different results if I were to maybe put a layer of translucent powder on top to lock everything in. So I'm definitely gonna try doing that, but these definitely faded really fast. Again, as far as the lip balm, I think it's super comfortable. I did reapply it just for this video, but it's not really something that's gonna last through eating and drinking, and it's going to transfer, although it's a nice thin formula that's not goopy, and I feel like even when I did go to eat and drink, it wasn't coming off everywhere. It lies very close to your lips and almost feels like it sinks into them instead of something sitting on top. So it's just really nice, almost like a little bit of a soft stain, yet it's not as long lasting as a stain. I don't know, it's kind of a hard product to describe, but I really do like it. I think it just gives a beautiful soft look to your lips. And I think the big question that everybody's wondering about is the foundation. And guys, I am actually shocked that my skin doesn't look super dry and cracked. With the amount of alcohol that's in there, the fact that it has a strong rubbing alcohol smell, I was expecting my skin to look horrible right now, and it really doesn't. It did feel, I think, a little bit tight. Like when I was at my in-laws' house a couple hours ago, I was noticing like my skin felt tight, but now that I'm looking in the mirror, it looks fine. And I'm kind of wondering if the reason that it looks a little more hydrated is because I put this Vanicream on. I kind of put another layer of moisturizer, which I normally wouldn't do. So let me just zoom you guys in and we can take a closer look. All right, so I mean, looking at my forehead, I feel like it's not accentuating the lines very much at all. I can see them, but just barely. And I also don't notice too much of a difference between the side that I applied with a brush or the sponge. I think they both look relatively the same. So overall, I am really impressed by this. I think, again, if you have dry skin, I would just be really careful. Make sure that you are moisturizing super well. Maybe put a primer down before this just to make sure that that alcohol that's in here isn't going to completely dry out your skin. But otherwise, I mean, this combo of the Vanicream sunscreen and this, really my skin looks great even 8 hours later. So I'm super happy with it. I really liked everything today. The biggest disappointment for me was this palette right here. I just feel like it doesn't have enough longevity. I'm gonna have to keep playing with it, see if I can maybe make it work somehow. It is really expensive, so I'll have to update you guys and let you know what's going on with this. But otherwise, love the Wildwood palette, the Tatcha lip balm, and the face products. Also the Sigma brushes were awesome as well. I had great luck with all of those. I think they're so soft and easy to use. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Have you tried any of these products yet? Did you pick up anything during the Sephora sale? I would love to hear your thoughts. And also, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe to my channel before you go. And if you have some extra time and you'd like to watch something else, I'll just put another video right up here and you can check that out next. And I want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I truly appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all in my next one. Take care. Bye.